we're live.
To some people, like, what's up, everybody? This is JT, and you are listening to the 1528 podcast. Thank you for joining us. Today is going to be a pretty good educational and informative episode. We're going to talk about Black history and Black excellence, and so I'm happy to do this. But before we get into everything, let me check in with my fellas. What's up, y'all?
What's the word?
What up? Glad to be back.
Good. I see that, man.
Season 2, episode 2. Let's go.
That's what's up. All right, so we dropped the first episode on last Friday. Like what's been happening since?
Not much.
Working.
Not much. You know,
Yeah.
a whole bunch of nothing.
Ooh, buddy. All right. Well, sound like y'all happy to be here. Sound extremely happy.
For those wondering, I'm sipping on Caribou Crossings Canadian whiskey today.
Oh, I'm sipping on Country Time lemonade.
A little mason jar here.
Drink more water.
Hey, there we go.
What do you have a mason jar of, BJ?
Strawberry kiwi with lemonade and Russian juice, also known as vodka.
I was like,
Oh, it's like Russian juice. That's very.
she ain't trying to decode that.
Man.
I am not that familiar with liquor. That's what's up. That's what's up. Y'all ready to get into this?
Yeah, man.
Oh,
What we got?
Man, we sound real focused, don't we? Like, let's go.
Look, let me tell y'all. I gotta wake
go.
up, man. I gotta wake up.
Man, I woke up at 5:30.
But no, so we're gonna talk about Black history, and I'm gonna give y'all a quick little recap of Black history and where it came from. Black history is an annual celebration of achievements by African Americans and a time for recognizing their central role in U.S. history. Also known as African American History Month, the event grew out of Negro History Week from the brainchild of noted historian Carter G. Woodson and other prominent African Americans. Since 1976, every U.S. president has officially designated the month of February as Black History Month. Other countries around the world, including Canada and the United Kingdom, also devote a month to celebrating Black history. The story of Black History Month begins in 1915, half a century after the 13th Amendment abolished slavery in the United States. That September, the Harvard-trained historian Carter G. Woodson and the prominent minister Jesse E. Moreland founded an association for the study of Negro life and history, an organization dedicated to researching and promoting achievements by African Americans and other peoples of African descent. The group sponsored a National Negro History Week in 1926, choosing the second week of February to coincide with the birthdays of Abraham Lincoln and Frederick Douglass. The event inspired schools and communities nationwide to organize local celebrations, establish history clubs, and host performances and lectures. By the late 1960s, thanks to the part of the civil rights movement and a growing awareness of Black identity, Negro History Week had evolved into Black History Month on many college campuses. President Gerald Ford officially recognized Black History Month in 1976, calling upon the public to seize the opportunity to honor the too often neglected accomplishments of African Americans in every area of endeavor throughout our history. That is just a small taste of Black history. That is a little bit of where it came from. Now, being that it's been in the school system and that I was taught Black history, and I'm for sure said was Jefferson County, and I'm for sure my other co-hosts have had Black history classes. What is your take on Black history in the school system, how it's, celebrated now, and the fact that even in the school system today that parents can opt their kids out of Black history lessons? So,
Okay, just to clarify, he's talking about Black History Month and not just Black History overall.
oh, snap.
You said Black history like
Yeah.
18 times.
Oh, okay,
Just for the
true.
listeners,
You're right.
our comments aren't just on the history of Black people. It's about this specific teaching of the month.
Yeah. I'm sorry about that. I want to make that clear.
Yeah.
I'll go first. For me, I had the pleasure of being raised in a community that was predominantly Black. I told y'all on one episode last season, I didn't have a classmate that was white until my senior year of high school. So for us, it was a celebration. It wasn't something that was just like weird and not normal. Like we saw black figures around the school all the time. They talked about certain things. In February, like we got extra black. But it wasn't anything that just like came out of left field because of the environment and the people that were like leading the schools and my teachers and all of that stuff. A lot of my teachers went to HBCUs, very pro-black, putting up stuff all the time about other black people for us to look up to and stuff. So it's kind of normal. In terms of like the generality of it, I do kind of feel like the way that it's taught now is doing it an injustice, just in general, because it's something that doesn't need to be segmented to a specific time of the year or a specific month, but it's kind of one of those things where I think some people take for granted, like, oh, we're going to give them February, so we don't have to worry about it through other times of the year, where I think it should be more of a mended in together kind of a situation, but it's not, and I think they're using Black History Month as a crutch to actually not intermingle it throughout most of the times. So yeah, that's what I got on that. I don't really know much about the opting out thing, so I'll let somebody else get into that a little bit more and kind of get my thoughts on that as they after their shares and stuff.
So you got a BJ when we roll in.
I'll go. Growing up, obviously, we all did those, Black History Months, and you learned about the basics, like the most, I don't want to say watered down versions, but you learned about Martin Luther King, you learned about Harriet Tubman, you learned about a few others here and there, George Washington Carver and stuff like that. But what I didn't like about it is how it, you learned about some of the good stuff, but I didn't hear about the Tulsa riots until I moved to Tulsa. And I think it's one of those things where like the winner writes history type of thing. So they don't want to show the ugly truths of Black history or American history and how Black history has been affected by it. So I think
and how ugly it can be,
and how ugly it is. Yeah, and so that's the one thing I don't like. That is just whitewashed, if you will. And I definitely agree with Dre as far as like it should be done throughout the year because Black history is American history. But I understand and I still appreciate us having the dedicated celebration time. That shouldn't be the only time. Now, as far as like the kids being able to opt out, that's one of those things. Like, I don't have kids. I really don't understand it. But I guess my concern would be, okay, like Cedric, if he says, well, I don't like the way they're teaching it, Deucey's not going to be in it. I can teach him stuff. But what if there's a white person that just don't want their kids to learn about this stuff? So now it's more of a racial thing versus, or it could be more of a racial thing versus like my kids don't need to learn about them jungle bunnies, blah, blah, blah. So then what we have a problem with them opting out if they want to.
Like, how do you
jungle bunnies? I goddamn right, I'm gonna have a problem.
Right. But the question is, like, you brought it up, is like, how do you judge someone's reason for doing it, especially if they don't say jungle bunnies, right? Saying to the school system, how do we know that it's racially motivated to pull them out?
You don't.
But I don't think you can really assess that, right? That's like subjective. It's like you're giving effort. Like, you don't know if I'm giving effort or not. You know what I'm saying? That's completely subjective, and it's judged by your perception and experiences and stuff, right? So it's like I don't know. I went back and forth on this. Should you be able to opt out for reasons to say I can teach better, or should you be able to opt out for any reason? I don't think you should be able to opt out. I mean, why is there even an option to opt out? You know what I'm saying? No matter how it's taught. Now, I think, that's why it's so important to get involved with school boards, and, it's important to be a part of your child's, like, learning team, you know what I'm saying? And for the districts and stuff. So then you can influence how Black history is taught. You know what I'm saying? If we're going to focus during this month, then we got to change the way it's taught. and so we won't have to opt out for that reason. You know what I'm saying? So we got to be more active when it comes down to advocating for what our kids are being taught in school, because it's just as important as it is to little black kids. It's important to everybody who's every American. It's important to know the people sitting next to you and their contributions. It's important to understand people's heritage. We're supposed to be a melting pot, but we're not supposed to melt to where we forget each other's heritage and culture. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So in order to do that, we should be able to celebrate those. And then I think if we welcome this, then we can stop hyphenating America at some point. It may not be in our lifetime, but stop hyphenating it where we can actually be Americans. And this is American history. We can never have American history and be African Americans. You know what I'm saying? It's just, as long as that hyphen is there, it just seems like it won't really go together. It needs to be American history, and these are black people who are in America who were brought over here for whatever reason. For those reasons, I shouldn't say not whatever reason. For those things. What are you thinking, Dre? I see your face.
Yeah, like when you say that,
part.
how would you, like in your mind, like how would you go about a perfect situation of restructuring Black History if not having it in the month? Because you said going to school boards and work to get it changed. What does that look like? So
first off, I think we got to realize what we're studying, like kind of the depth of it. You know, we don't need to keep talking about slavery and characters exclusively. You know what I'm saying? When it comes to Black History Month, when it comes to Black History period, we want to talk about slavery, Martin Luther King, Malcolm. We want to talk about characters, people who were important to the Black community. We want to talk about those people, their accomplishments, and we want to talk about slavery. But there's so much more to American history. Like we kept going. You know what I'm saying? Like Black people kept working, we kept inventing, we kept existing in this country, making things better and helping the country progress. So. It's almost like, and then you jump and say, well, Barack Obama. Well, you know what? We've been going since then too, and around him. You know what I'm saying? So we gotta start talking about really Black, like, and then when we talk about the civil rights, what were the civil rights we were fighting for? Because we're gonna find out we're still fighting for some of those civil rights. You know what I'm saying? Not just because we kind of put it in a box and say, oh, civil rights. Like we don't even name one civil right that we was going for. Voting. People talk about voting. You know what I'm saying? But like, what civil rights are we still dealing from? And now we're changing the message to go from, no, we don't want just civil rights. We want equality. You know what I'm saying? Like we turned the corner on civil rights. So we kept going. And I think it's important that they understand, just the same way they'll talk, when we talk about American history, we'll go from our founding fathers to Bill Gates and all these people like we need to go from, let's talk about slavery. Cool. And then let's progress, even beyond Obama, and then other people around. There's other inventors and scientists and doctors and just doing stuff. So anyway, I don't want to be too redundant, but we just want to, and then let's take away the black and white photos of the civil rights movement, please. Like color TVs came out in 1953. You know what I'm saying? Please stop doing photos of the. I know it happened back in the 50s too, but like in the early 50s and all that, but like. Stuff in the 60s is in black and white. Quit that. You know what I'm saying? I mean, they've been having color photos since the 1800s. So you can turn them colors back to the colors.
I think talk about that point first. I think the black and white photos is a stylistic choice for impact. I do believe we do need to have some things presented in color because we need to see the full spectrum of who was there, who participated. And the fact that they were all there together, and even if it's a sea of black people, the skin needs to be shown. But for me, Black history, being taught. Go ahead, Seth.
You're not gonna let me respond?
I mean, go for it. Go for it.
Counter my point. I want to come back for it. So, what about is it important to, get the impact of the photo? Which cool, but it also timestamps the photo. It makes it feel like we were fighting for these rights a long time ago. And some of our grandparents were fighting for these rights. You know what I'm saying? And it's like, when you see it in black and white, little kids now, they'll say, man, that was so long ago. Was dinosaurs around? You know what I'm saying? Like, no, it wasn't that long ago. And then in your mind, you just kind of conditioned to see black and white, especially on TV, and you say, this was a long time ago. And it really was, and I think that's more for me. I feel like that's the propaganda behind it. Like that's the reason why it's in black and white, not necessarily for the dramatic, the impact of it.
To give you a disillusion of the time.
Yeah, I think it's definitely a mix between the two because, like, just logistically speaking, to go from black and white to color with all of these photos that we're talking about, you're either going to need some negatives that are still in good condition to actually use, or you're going to need to spend a whole lot of money to process and reprocess these pictures in color, which is not just like a click of a button kind of a thing. So like if we're talking about our history books redoing that, there's no value in them to do it. They're literally just losing money by spending the time and taking these black and white pictures that are on all these books and turning them into color. It's not like the government's doing it, and it's not like they're paying for it.
No, I definitely get that. So the printed, I get that. But what about the video editing? I mean, come on. Silicon Valley got it on lock, and across the country, you can edit a video to get it where it's supposed to be, or digitally remaster it to be in accurate form.
If you have the original,
you have the originals. Yeah. It's still a negative thing that you have to process.
But look at the difference. Like how many black and white video photos up there of like JFK juxtaposed to color? I feel like there's more color video. Like I've seen color videos with Jackie Kennedy at the funeral. You know what I'm saying? And it's like that would be a black and white since the colors are dark. But it's like that's the same time frame.
But the difference there is the people often that were taking those videos were using the best of the best equipment, and they were taking the time to do it initially. They're not going back to a lot of it and revisiting it. They were actually just using fucking NASA level
NASA level
equipment. So I think that's the difference. But again, it can be done. It's just a matter of is it enough of an issue that people will actually go ahead and put the finances behind it, or is it more important stuff for us to worry about?
No, that does make sense. It's almost like singular voting. Like let's just dig our stakes in there and deal with the black and white, when really we can just focus on the timeline and be truthful about it.
It's an easier hill to get over.
I hear that.
So you fellas have all mentioned pretty much everything I think I was going to say. I think for me, I wish there was a new way to deposit black history into the mainstream, and not just through social media, but a place where you could submit. Let me go back. I want new black history. Facts, probably in the same time frame in the 1960s, but tell me something new that happened in the 1960s. Add unto that so that it won't be just the same story that, over the years, right. It's the same story that you open up the book and rehash every February for 28 days. And, it gets redundant, and you can't really say history is redundant, but it gets watered down. The impact of it gets watered down because it's the same thing. Like, Martin Luther King from when you're a itty bitty child up all the way up through college, and it's the same story. And so now, what else is out there? And so it lessens the impact because it's the same old thing over and over. I personally feel like Black history is going to need a revamping and how we address it and discuss it all together. I think this is probably the worst representation of Black History Month I've ever seen. Like, even television spots. I haven't seen that many television spots of corporations saying, "Oh, we're celebrating Black history like it used to be." You see corporations everywhere, McDonald's, Sprite, some printing company, something like that. It would be all over the place. And I feel like because we've concentrated so much into the recent years of Black Lives Matter and police brutality, is that it's taken away from shining the light even now in February. Like, we done it all last year, in the last 2 years. So February, like, all our funds are gone because we put all this money into Black History shirts and Black Lives Matter shirts and those spots, and we don't have no more. So we gotta find a new way or not see it at all in this February. What you got?
I kind of feel something about that though.
Go ahead.
Because they're making Black history, so it ain't really taken away. It should be something that we can discuss in February maybe, but it's just like to say we put too much effort and energy, because like it's almost like if a company says, listen, we're focusing on hiring, and I'm not saying this is all perfect or whatever, but we're looking into hiring, like we're up in our African American hiring numbers by 20%, this year or whatever. And then it's like when you get to Black History, it's just like, oh, they've been shouting out Black Lives Matter this whole time, but we get to Black History Month, you did not forget that. You don't do a Black History shout out. Then it's like, do you go for the company and say, okay, you get comfortable, or do you go for the event and say, well, it's the event's fault? I don't think Black Lives Matter, not the movement of Black Lives Matter, is to be blamed for like a low participation in Black history. I think it should have sparked a higher participation in Black history.
Yeah, I don't think it has to blame. I don't think it's to blame for either. But what most of the corporations are blaming their pullback on is the same reason that most of them pulled, at least the big fish, pulled out of the Super Bowl. 2020 was far worse of a year than expected financially, so a lot of that ad money that they would have spent on the Super Bowl, on Black History Month, on the holiday advertising, they cut a lot of that across the board. And whether it's accurate or not, that's what they're basically saying, like, hey, we haven't been able to do what we normally do in terms of this kind of media press because of those things. And when, the whole Black Lives Matter movement, the racial injustice, everything that was happening this summer, they were still only 2-3 months into the pandemic, like full force. So they didn't feel it. But now at the end of the year, after everybody did their shit, they had their press conferences with the numbers and financials. That's when everybody publicly made it conscious that they've been pulling back those kind of marketing dollars. And Black History Month happened to fall, first thing of the year. So we don't really have anything else to judge it off of other than the Super Bowl. Now, if they end up still spending a ton of money on other shit throughout the year, but they didn't do it during Black History Month, the economy ain't got that much better. So, maybe that is the real thing. But that's definitely the line that these corporations are telling.
That makes sense. I guess I will also need to do a little bit more digging to see what they've done on their social media platforms, just to see if they put out anything like a television commercial spot. Yeah, that costs money, but a little graphic to throw onto your Instagram or whatever feed as a company, and not even on your website, it doesn't cost anything. But I totally get what you're saying. That makes some points. Go ahead.
Well, JT, I was going to agree with you when you kept saying something needs to change with how we teach Black history, right? And I just think it really just needs to move forward. That would be my comment. I just think it needs to move forward. Like, we need to stop focusing on everything from the past and see the Black history happen in front of us right now. You know what I'm saying?
I can see that.
Just like I think you just alluded to, like the Black history. I mean, not Black history, the Black Lives Matter movement. Like that's history, and then all all these people who helped with voter drive and get people, Georgia turned blue.
Now, I don't know exactly how the context of what you're saying said, but I want to, in my mind, I don't think they need to move past it. I think they need to modernize it.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Move forward with it. We kept going. Yeah.
Because I wasn't sure if you meant stop talking about the old shit and talk about more modern shit, or just make sure that it stays updated. Okay.
They old. Forget about them. Right. My bad.
No, and I did want to actually piggyback on something that both JT and BJ had brought up. BJ had talked about, I think it was BJ, about the schools and how it's taught. And, JT made the point about it being repetitive. But part of that, I think, is also part of the crutch that they fall into when we marginalize Black history into a month. Because the teachers literally have, after you take out the 28 days of February general, and then you take out the days for President's Day weekend, we're talking 15, 16 days to cover entire gamut of Black history. Right. When you talk to civil rights march, you can't get into the details. You can't get into shit like the church bombings and this and that, and a lot of the Tulsa massacre and stuff, because you might only have one day in your curriculum that you can talk about, or maybe two, and one of them's going to Martin. The other one might just be going to the movement in general, and the third one's probably going to Rosa Parks. And then the next week, you got something totally different. So I think the fact that it is stuck into 1 month makes that even harder. Whereas if we just made it a part of American history, though, and we talked about the 60s, that can live in a much broader realm than in that 15 days of February they have.
Then why not both? My thing is like, why not both? Like, so I always compare talking about removing or redoing and comparing Black History Month to other history months, like Women's History Month, Latino History Month. These are the things that are popping up because there needs to be more effort putting this out there. Now, don't get me wrong. I do feel like February Black History Month should definitely, stay in February, a whole month long celebration. But I also feel like as the timeline goes in your classes, and we're talking about, and once we get to the 60s, you don't have to completely reiterate everything that you talked about for Black History Month. Although I don't know how you want to write that, but that's fine. But you include that and concentrate in February, but make sure you put the pieces as they need to be when you teach throughout the rest of the year.
But I think part of that is there's that inherent crutch that as long as we have a dedicated month, nobody's going to feel a need to blend it in other places because they know they're going to be able to get to it at some point. Now, when you bring up, Women's History Month and, LGBTQ and all this other stuff, they have months that we talk about them, that we appreciate them and things like that, but they're not in anybody's particular curriculum like that. They're not formatted that way in curriculum. Black History Month is the only one where we have that specific area where teachers know every February we're going to talk about Black people.
Right. But see, I think along with it moving forward, right? Like Black History got to get to a point to where we should get to a point in America where there should not be a Black History Month.
Right, that's what I'm saying.
Right, so it should be like learning should be linear. Learning should be moving forward, right? So I think like you get to the point where you get to the point of Revolutionary War. Whenever we talk about that, you know what I'm saying? We get to whatever, but it gets to a point where you talk about the civil rights movement in America. It gets to a point where you talk about all the inventors in this time period, not just these inventors. You know what I'm saying? And so then it just comes integrated to where it's really integrated to where we're not worried about we didn't get our month, or we didn't get our days, or whatever. I think it serves its purpose right now, and it did back then too.
I love that you all have faith that the system is going to incorporate it in such a way that it's going to seem right and fair. But I am one of those people that I don't want to lose it, just in the fact that it may completely.
I totally
you know what I'm saying? Yeah, I don't want to lose it. I'm glad it just need to be revamped, or you know what I'm saying, modernized. What the hell no?
It's not losing.
But no, he's saying
I know what he's saying
because you got too much faith.
No, I get it, but what I'm saying is like, what's the point of us fighting now? We don't think we can evolve in this country. Are we gonna break off and make our own country? Like,
who was the last president?
Huh?
Who was the last president? How we evolved?
I get it. He's still the president? He could have been.
Yeah, but it's still that going backwards. I hear what you're saying, but you're still. I do not want to lose the footing that we have now, thinking that the same people that changed slavery in some textbooks to indentured servants.
Sure.
You're telling me that they're going to put Black history throughout the rest of the year with the same, like, instead of the concentrated 28 days, spreading that out.
If we keep moving in the direction we're moving, yeah. If we are electing lawmakers who are Black. Like, the laws of the land that govern the United States of America are Black people. And yes, it's a system. Yes, it's a system. But we see people right now who are actually fighting for the rights, the equal rights of Black people in high places. And that's what we're trying to vote people into. So I think, yeah, it might not be in our lifetime, but it's weird for me to dedicate my lifetime to moving Black people forward, including my kids, but have no faith that I'm doing this for a reason. Like, this is going to fizzle out one day and they're just going to kill us all off and, hey, welcome to America.
Yeah, I mean, if you're talking about like after our lifetimes, then it's definitely possible. But JT's definitely looking at it in more of a one in the hand is better than two in the bush kind of a thing. Like, we have this, don't risk losing it for something that's not guaranteed, because it's not guaranteed. We're still.
I'm not saying get rid of it,
but it's not a lot of them.
Yeah, I'm not saying get rid of it before that happens. Like, you never quit a job before you got another job, unless you're just trying to chill for a little bit. But like, you know what I'm saying? Unless you try to chill for a little bit. But it's like, it ain't like you just like, oh, I really believe we're on the brink of the goal of Black History Month, so let's go ahead and take it away. I mean, like, this is going on for generations and generations. There's no need to have this Black History Month here, because now we know. And because to rewind it would take too much. To rewind generations of history.
I think we're all on that same page. Like, if there can be a concrete plan laid out, then I think we're good with it. We just don't want to throw away what we have
on that whole
concrete dream.
Gotcha.
But I did want to also go back to one thing BJ said about opting out. And you raised the point of, if somebody says, they can teach their kids better or something like that. I'm totally against the concept of, opting out in general, because if you're not homeschooling your kids, what other subject can you say, no, I'm not going to let you teach them algebra, I can teach them better, so just don't give them a grade in that class. Right. So, I don't think that's reasonable. I don't think that's anywhere near fair. The only thing that has a comparison is sex education, but the people that opt out in there, they get the benefit of saying, it's against their religion, which is, a constitutional given right that if that's the case, then they allow them to opt out. But I don't see how that or anything like that could apply to a Black History Month lesson.
Yeah, absolutely not. You're gonna sit here and tell me that your child, whoever it may be, should not sit there and learn Black history, African American history. I'm getting frustrated and I can't say my words, but it's it's one of those things that where the system has allowed people to show their ass and give them an opportunity to do bullshit. Give them enough room where they can, still in their own way oppress. In their own way, telling you that you're not worth it, and you're in their own way completely, absolutely, and that to me lets me know that, again, I don't want to get rid of Black History Month because clearly they're allowing people to not do this. So I don't trust the system to be that forward thinking. In the process of teaching my nephews at this point. I don't have any kids, but my nephews, I don't have faith in the system enough.
Man, we gotta be able to. Oh, go ahead, BJ.
No, I definitely agree with that, because I guarantee you, obviously we don't know, but I'm guaranteed it wasn't a Black parent that pushed to opt their kids out of that. You know what I'm saying? And so it's almost like a smack in the face that when it comes to teaching about us and our history, teaching us or teaching people about us, it's now just an elective, like it's fucking swimming class. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like it's art. Like it's another way for people to tell us we don't matter or our history doesn't matter. It's just a slick way of doing it. I've said before that growing up in my grandfather's time probably was a little harder, but it was fair in the sense of you knew exactly how that person thought about you. Whereas we have to deal with the slick shit. And if they feel a certain way, they can't say it, but they do slick shit, or they make sure you don't get that promotion. My grandfather knew Cracker John down the street didn't like him because he told him last week. You know what I'm saying? They were, he called him a nigga at the fucking horse and buggy place or whatever, whatever they was doing.
He literally said, "Hey, nigga, you never gonna run my company."
Yeah,
literally, right?
literally, yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Take this broom. So they knew exactly what they were dealing with. Well, we don't all the time.
Yeah, it's real.
I just like the fact that we are pushing the needle more. I think this generation, after this younger generation, pushes the needle more than we did. And then we push it more than our generation before us. And, think about how much they pushed the needle during the civil rights movement, during that time. They pushed it, of course. Absolutely. You know what I'm saying? But then it's just like how much we continue to push as we went forward. Because, even we go all the way back to, slavery. How much they was able to push the needle. How much we was able, we keep going. It's like a cascading effect where we just keep going. And I just really think we get to the point to where it's not, it looks weird to me when I see people post stuff and say, like they gonna let us do that. They gonna let us. I'm like, you know what I'm saying? Like they gonna let us live. Hold up. Like at some point we come to the point where it's like we're gonna live here, we're citizens here, and it's just gonna be like that. And somebody's gonna push the needle to where it's like cops gonna quit doing this stuff. You know what I'm saying? Like people gonna quit kidnapping black girls, and it don't make the news. not even an Amber Alert. You know what I'm saying? Like we're gonna quit that at some point. Like once again, may not be in our lifetime, but at some point we got to keep pushing that needle to where it's like, yeah, we matter. You don't have a choice but to recognize our presence and existence. Like we just got to keep. That's my hope. My hope is like toward that.
I applaud your faith. I completely applaud it. Go ahead, BJ.
I do have a question based on what JT was talking about as far as like I think mentioned it as well, talking about modernizing how we teach in Black history and stuff like that. What do you guys feel, or how do you guys feel about like the Hollywood and the new movies coming out, like Judas and the Black Messiah, or what is it, A Night in Miami, like those type of films that are shining a different side of some of the same stories, but shining a different light on them and making it more digestible for younger audiences?
I'm gonna be honest with you. I'm ecstatic for anything that's not a slavery movie, because that's the one thing that has been completely reheated and rehashed over and over again, to the fact where, to me, it's telling us like that's where you're going to be, and that's what needs to be put out there at all times to remind you that this is all y'all ever been. Is this the 30 years that y'all made some type of progression to get to this part? Less than 50 years, and now, you know what I'm saying, less than 100 years for slavery, but we ain't really been equal for all that long. You know what I'm saying? Like you said, our grandparents just reaped some of those benefits in their lifetime. So entertainment to me has come a long way. I was having this conversation, there was a moment where slavery movies were the thing that it was just back to back to back to back to back. And to have movies now like Judas and the Black Messiah to give a different perspective of that situation, I applaud it, because you could do it straight from Fred Hampton's perspective all day. You know what I'm saying? You could do that, but to have it from the opposite end, it was well done. I may not know all the facts behind it, and I'm for sure people will have to say what they have to say, but just from someone who's kind of relearning the history in that way, I applaud it. I don't think that we're going to. No, I think we as entertainers, we as people have, right, we are entertainers. We as a people have to demand and put our dollars behind things that will help elevate us and show us a new light. Like if you know someone, if you know someone who is a beginning Black filmmaker and want to make sure that they pump out things that will accredit your race, then you need to put the dollars behind them. You need to, make that happen so we can get past the slavery movies.
And
so,
Cash App
just as
is.
Cash App.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. I appreciate that, alley-oop, BJ. I appreciate that, man.
Them is me.
No, I definitely get that, and like my thoughts on that. As long as the movies are coming out that are telling those parts of the story, like however they have to do it to make it more digestible, I'm fine. If they're able to make it as raw as possible without having to do that, even better. But just the fact that these kind of movies are getting greenlit now, because these scripts have been around forever. People have been writing this stuff forever. Hollywood just didn't want to give it any play. The people controlling the media didn't want to give it any play. Now, some of Hollywood is giving it play. On the other hand, we just like, fuck it, we gonna do it on our own. We don't need you no more, Hollywood. And they're putting the stories out there. So like the fact that we're at this place, whichever one of those two levers is actually pulling strings on these movies, I just think it's a good thing regardless, because a lot of these parts of the story, like most people wouldn't have, known about a lot of this stuff. And like I didn't really get a lot of like deeper level information because there wasn't movies like that. I only got them when I would read somebody's like autobiography or something. That was it. So like the fact that they're coming out with these different perspectives on it and different content that is important for people to know is a great thing.
Agreed.
Absolutely.
I couldn't have said it any better myself. And that's on 1906.
So I can go. Well, while we here, shout out to J Love for these hoodies. Yeah.
Absolutely, man.
I wish I would have known that we were going to wear tandem HBCU hoodies. I would have put on my Fisk hoodie, but it's 72 degrees here. So
We literally just sat down.
maybe I wouldn't have.
Yeah, we just sat down and it was just like, oh man, we all got our K-State hoodies on. I wonder if Sam gonna wear his K-State.
You look like
hoodie.
triplets.
Yeah, man.
So we fly. All right, cool. I take it.
Thanks, man. Appreciate that, man.
All triplets are fine.
Yeah, man. But no, so I appreciate that, fellas. We're gonna take a quick break, pay some bills. I always wanted to say that, and we'll be right back.
Yeah, son.
What's up, everybody? Real quick, just want to tell you this is the last chance to enter the ReCast contest that we have going on right now for some 1528 podcast swag. Right now on ReCast, on our website, you can check out the episodes, and with that episode, recast your favorite part. Let people know what made you think, what made you laugh, or it just shows how silly we can be. Recast that when you go to our website and listen to the episode. Now, what you need to do is, once you recast that, you need to tag us on that post so we can see it and know that you did it. We'll pick a winner randomly, and you will win some free merchandise. We've been cooking up some really good stuff, and we want you to be some of the first people to rock that stuff once we open up the store. So right now, again, hit that recast. Show everybody who we are, what made you laugh, what made you think, what possibly made you cry on some of our previous episodes. Also, I can never ever stop telling you, please go by our website. We need the traction. Why? Because we want to grow, and we want to make sure that other people see who we are. Make sure you go by the website, check us out. If you're new listening to our podcast, check out our bio, check out old episodes, and everything that you want to know about us is right there on the website. So please do the recast contest and go by the website and check us out. And now let's get back to the show. What's up? Welcome back. So, fellas, we've been talking about Black history, and history is definitely what people have done. So, what have you done to contribute to Black history? And if you haven't, or what are you going to do to contribute in the future?
I'm black, y'all.
Go.
I'm black, y'all. I'm blackity black. I'm black, y'all. So, start off there. I'm black. Okay. No, seriously. I think so. We kind of touched on this the other day in our production call of creating history doesn't have to be a defining moment in your life, right?
Mm-hmm.
Just being a decent black man that's going to work, that's contributing to society, that's not being a negative statistic is, in my opinion,
What?
Y'all know what I'm talking about.
My bad.
What? I tried to run over it. I was just keep going. I'm not about to try to say that shit again. Anyway.
2 minutes starts now. Here we go.
Man. That boy put a W in there.
But just to being a decent human being and not getting arrested and not being a bad influence on the community is historical in the sense of you're pushing our people forward just by being a good person. And then it's something I didn't think about until mentioned it the other day.
It was right there. It was right
Back
there.
up.
The historical event that we did, I looked at it was just something that we have to do, but us doing the RV trip, I guess can be considered, Black history is something that, to our knowledge, had never been done before. Definitely has never been done by 4 black men, and just making it happen. So it's definitely something I'm proud of. hopefully it made other people proud as well. So.
Dre?
I'll go last.
So, I think I was just thinking about what. I think I was thinking about what BJ mentioned that we were talking about on production call, that it's not all about winning awards. When I thought about it, when I thought about doing production call, what I would probably talk about, or Black history I feel like I've contributed to, or the Black community I feel like I've, my community I feel like I've helped, progress forward. I started thinking about all the awards. You know what I'm saying? And it's so crazy. So I thought about it before even the work that I did to earn the awards. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. I knew what it was, but it's just like thinking about all the things that went into it. And so like it took me back to a place that, we talk about now how social media has made pictures so like take a picture, take a video, and it seems to be so important to everybody. But I think it's always been important, right? So like what if the cameras weren't there to capture like Martin Luther King at the march? Dr. King at the march, you know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. John Lewis. Like, what if the cameras weren't there to capture the fists going in the air, or the protests, the jail photos, and stuff like that? What if the cameras weren't there for that? It doesn't make anything they did less significant. We would still have the changes that we have. We just won't be able to memorialize it. You know what I'm saying? In the sense of like, here's a picture of it. And so, just thinking about all, pulling back the mask of all the awards, because I did win a lot of awards, and I'm very proud in those moments. You know what I'm saying? Especially being some first. But it's just like the first to do what? You know what I'm saying? Because of what? And so I think, like, I spend a lot of my time. I tell people I've worked with at-risk youth since I was at-risk youth. You know what I'm saying? Like, just always trying to find a way to see how. Okay, I've made it through this. How can I help you get through this? You know what I'm saying? And I'm a little bit older than you, so let me look back. When I was in high school, I was definitely working with a lot of elementary school kids. Just like, man, pay attention to your teacher, do your work. You know what I'm saying? And I just remember a time when it was after a football game, and it's when I quit cussing in public for a little bit. Sorry. And then I was like, okay, forget that. That's fine. But I remember it was when I was playing at Mill. It was our championship year, so. I was like, getting on my team. We won, so I was hyped. I was cussing with my teammates, pushing each other, and this little kid came up and like pulled my jersey, and I was just like, "Yo, what's up?" He was like, "You came to my school." Da 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 da. I was like, "Oh, like how long have you been standing there?" And so like, just because when the kids see you out and remember who you are, you made an impact. You know what I'm saying? Or even if the kid is still in your heart. When you pray, or when you just about, you've made an impact because you poured into that kid, that next generation. You know what I'm saying? And then, just thinking about all the volunteer work and I don't think I have any pictures of that stuff. It's just I don't know, going to camps and doing basketball camps and doing just all these different things to affect people coming up behind me. Because I always felt like I wish I knew, even now as an adult. The next year comes, or the next whatever comes, and I just feel like, man, I wish I knew that. I wish I knew what I know. I wish I knew then what I know now. You know what I'm saying? And so I always try to be that for people, and it led to me, going into the ministry. When I understood God's word, I was like, let me help other people understand God's word like this, because I don't feel like it's being taught like this. And so I've always tried to reach out to say, let me help you get a better understanding, because if this is your issue like it was mine, perhaps I can help you through it. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. And if I can't, I ain't mad. You know what I'm saying? Like, I ain't for everybody. So it's just like, I'm going to do what I can for the people who are assigned for my help, who I'm anointed to help. You know what I'm saying? And then the people are going to help me who's anointed to help me. And it's supposed to keep going like that. Let's all keep moving the needle. So a lot of work I've done has been toward that, toward the young people. I've done it professionally. I've done it just in the community, faith-based, all kind of ways to just reach back to them. And as I was growing up, just try to keep that going. I've done some health initiatives, like this for the kids too, Teens Against Tobacco Use in Kentucky with Humana and American Lung Association. And then just coming out here, just working with Trio, it's like working with not Trio. Yeah, it is Trio. It's a Trio program. Just kids going to college, kids not doing drugs, whatever like that. So just trying to stay on that. So I think, that's my contribution, and then, trying to do that and then be the same person at home with my kids. You know what I'm saying? And that's a very complicated story and a very complicated reality. But, the influence that I can have on my kids, I don't want somebody out there saying, Mr. Cedrice is da-da-da-da. And it's like, oh, he is? I thought that was your daddy. You know what I'm saying? So, they got to be able to see that, it's real. So it starts from the inside out. So I don't know. I think that's a contribution. And what I plan to do is just to do it more for people around my age, like, other young professionals, like people who are switching professions. You get to 40 and you're like, I don't want to do this anymore. You know what I'm saying? It happens. It happens all the time. And we out here, we're not alone. So just working with people like that, working with us, taking our community forward. I think I want to do more with that. And then as we get more politicians in office and more, more lawmakers, more decision makers, I want to be able to push those people forward too. Put my money behind it, like JT said earlier.
That's what's up. So since Dre said he's going last, that means I'm going now.
I can go now. Doesn't matter. You can go.
So I was thinking about this, and honestly, just now came to the conclusion that I do believe it's not necessarily making Black history is about awards, but it is about doing something that's extraordinary, that's more spectacular than other things. And I say that in the sense of, contributing to another human being's life in a meaningful way. That shouldn't necessarily be making history in a sense. That should be just normal life. But also at the same time, history is someone's story in a sense of, who they are, what's happened to them, or what in the past has affected them. And so, you volunteering with organization said that is making history. So I'm torn between the two of it needs to be something spectacular in the sense of possibly winning awards, but not to the fact that we shouldn't be awarding people for doing the things that you should just be doing on a daily basis. You know what I'm saying? I guess, yeah. So that's that. Now, for me, I would love to win a Academy Award for Best Director, Best Screenwriter, and Best Supporting Actor, all in the same year. And so that's my what I want to do. Want to accomplish for Black excellence and Black history, and I would love to get an EGOT and win all the big awards. But I also like to win an Essence Award. Hopefully, Ange wins her Essence Award this upcoming year. Shout out to her. And so, yeah, that's just what I would like to do. I would also like to make a documentary about something that's going to impact people for years to come. Eyes on the Prize was a dope documentary, and has been one of those things that people can go to and reference when they want to talk about what has happened to us and for us. And so I would love to do that and contribute, some of my time and talents to being that part of that revamping of Black history in schools, that new tool that helps educate, everyone, not just African American youth, but everyone about our history and, new points in the history. So I want to use my gifts and my talents, my money and y'all money to make that happen.
Hey, I think it's very important, just to play on your point, to stay on your point a little bit. I think it's very important to get the recognition. It gives people something to look up to and aspire to. And recognition also, this is vital. It's vital to let people know that this is the way to go. If you're looking for a way to go, then here it is, because
my counter to that,
by the community.
My counter to that is when you're giving someone an award, and they may have been the best of whatever, as far as the daily work of volunteering or feeding people, I do also feel that that would make some of not their particular work necessarily, but someone's work will probably be more about getting an award versus the act
Absolutely.
of just doing what's right. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Yeah.
Absolutely. That's the thing where I feel like we need to just say, be good for nothing. You know what I'm saying? So it's you just need to be good for nothing and just be good for the fact of being good.
Yeah,
so that's what I'm saying. But I get what you're saying. I'm not completely
I don't take it
straight
as
striking away. Yeah.
I don't take it as a contrary.
Yeah.
I just think that I think it takes game changers. You know what I'm saying? You know, everybody doesn't get participation awards. Everybody doesn't get an award. Everybody doesn't get recognized the same way. And I think it's the game changers that do, right? You know what I'm saying? Those who was instrumental in passing this bill for this huge movement for people in this country. Like, yeah, hey, this person helped do that. You know what I'm saying? But like you said, you know, me volunteering for an organization that somebody else started, you know what I'm saying, through a whole, that's a little bit different from that award. You know what I'm saying? Like, he get a award for work of Metro United Way. He get one for, you know what I'm saying, building it. So, but
and I think people definitely need to be recognized for their efforts and their commitments for sure. Yeah. It's that balance of definitely. What are you really doing this for? You know what I'm saying? Like, are you taking these pictures of feeding the homeless for Instagram to get that recognition versus just going to feed people? You know what I'm saying? Those are the things that I think about when it comes to rewarding people for just general goodness.
Yeah, right. In today's society, we kind of have to think about that because how driven people are to take pictures of every fucking thing just for the recognition.
Mm-hmm.
But my counter to that would be, yeah, it kind of sucks that people don't do it out of the kindness of their heart, but at least they're doing things that are helping other people. Whatever their reason is. Like if somebody gives $1 million or $10,000, they gave $10,000 to people who needed it more. They may be doing it for Instagram, they may be doing it for clout, but they still fucking did it. So who cares what their motivation is as long as good work is being done, right? It's the same thing like when big corporations might contribute to United Negro College Fund or whatever it is, and then there's always
just so the name can be in the program. Yeah,
right. There's always somebody who wants to be like, they're just doing it to look good because of this or because of that. Maybe, but they still fucking did it. Are you not going to take the money? Yeah, you are. Shut the fuck up. You know what I'm saying? So it's just one of those things where, like, I definitely understand, and I think it's annoying for people like us who genuinely like to help people. And I think we've all probably have worked with people or done some type of volunteer work when you know the person next to you is only there to try to look good. But the work is still getting done. So I think we should still appreciate that, or appreciate the fact that work is getting done and people that need help are being helped.
Valid point. I definitely get that, and I'm going to bring it personal a little bit more. I don't necessarily at all like those kind of awards or accolades when I'm the recipient of them. In my mind, I don't necessarily even want somebody to have that cloud of doubt, like, oh, did he only help me for himself, right? I want people to know, like, hey, there are actually good people, you know, that help people when they're down. Like, you can trust people. You can come to me if you need something. Like, I'm not just doing this so you can thank me on Facebook in 10 days or something like that. Like, this past year with everything that was going on with COVID and all of that, being an admin of Club Thorough, a lot of stuff ran through me, but I personally have contributed more in terms of service, either financially or helping other people through stuff this year than I've probably ever done. But whenever I did something, I was like, yeah, don't worry about it. Don't pay me back. Don't mention it, because that's not why I'm doing it. Like, right? When people are down and out, it's a feeling that they get knowing that somebody's helping them out of the kindness of their heart versus having that doubt about where did it come from or why did they do it or are they going to ask me for something later down the road. That's the feeling I always try to avoid when I personally am in that situation. So I don't like those kind of things coming in my direction personally.
Yeah, don't give me a award. Just give me a check. You know, that's what I say.
Right. So I guess it's on. Right. So for me, go ahead.
No, I was gonna say, like, go ahead. What's your
Oh yeah. For me, I look at it in 2 ways. Of course, like with what I've been doing on a granular level, I always try to, Hamilton wrestlers for the episode, who lives, who dies, who tells your story, kind of a thing, right? I always want to know that I impacted other people when I'm gone. I helped people. I did things for people that I was in a position to do. So always, whether it's something small or something big or whatever it might be, I'm constantly trying to just find different ways that I can positively impact our community and people of our community, and things like that. And in terms of like on a grander scale, when I was thinking about this, the 2 people that came to my mind for things that happened and, things that I would want to find ways to do something along those lines are actually 2 of my high school classmates that were a year or 2 years under me, coming out of Warrensville. One of them, Ricky Jones, he just started a scholarship to graduating seniors from his high school, from Warrensville. So he's, doing that with his organizations and his company. I couldn't find the name of his company. I was shouting him out, but couldn't figure out what that was. I was just trying to double check again. But like stuff like that, that's like impactful. Like for at-risk kids or kids that just can't afford college, to be able to actually help put somebody through college. And it's one thing for LeBron to do it when he's got millions and billions of dollars. But like from somebody of us from humble beginnings and still humble positions now, to be able to do it, like that's a big
humble
deal.
living,
right? That's a lot of food off of his plate. And I really commend him for doing something like that. So I would love to be in a position where I could have some kind of scholarship or some kind of society or something like that, where that outlived me, that helped people, that benefited people in ways that I couldn't do it on my own. And then another classmate of mine, she was a year under me, Kelly Roselle. She just came out with a website called the Black Dollar Index. If y'all haven't checked it out, definitely go check it out. blackdollarindex.com. And basically her and she brought together a whole team, and they actually kind of piggyback on what my cousin Rose is doing a lot, and I try to do all the time too. Support black businesses, support businesses that support black businesses, and make sure we're keeping our money in the community. Well, she's looking at major organizations, and they're actually ranking them based on their commitments to Black America. So they give amazing breakdowns about their employment, what they've given to the community, different, like we talked about earlier, media buys to represent and empower and lift the things that black community is going through. And she like literally lays it out for all of the Fortune 100 companies now and looking to grow in the future. So like if I could do something like that, where put together an app or a software or something like that that kind of helps. Like in me, it's putting pressure on those companies to do better, but at the same time, it's helping people like us and me and Rose, who are trying to make sure our dollars are going to people who support us. That's making it real clear. So like I'm always thinking like, okay, what can I do along those lines? What can I do to come up with something? What can I do to do something along like that? So I would love to do something like that, but also just like closer to home, just for us. Now that we are a full LLC and stuff like that, I want to work on getting the 1528 charitable organization wing, and kick that off, and something for us to roll with and something for us to build on that again can outlive us. That when we do stuff like the RV drive, we're actually able to give people the tax deductible slips that they can, get money back off of this stuff, or, certain things that we want to do and kind of make it regular. We could do it through that charitable organization and get, bigger money donations from corporations to actually really take our idea and do it at a bigger scale.
So it's cool that you said that, because it's
gives.
Absolutely. When you said something, I wrote down create a scholarship, and I was thinking like it'd be great if we created a scholarship to go to some wonderful thoroughbred so they can continue their education.
1528 scholarship,
I guess,
or Fiskite,
I know,
or whatever you call them. Fiskite, is that the right word? Who knows?
I'm definitely
Jubilee?
not.
daughters of The sons and daughters of the altar.
I'm definitely not worried about.
Oh, yes.
It's not of the what?
Sons and daughters at the altar?
We are not
At the
Game of
altar.
Thrones.
Y'all get married? Y'all at the altar?
Man.
To the altar.
First
Through the
off,
altar. Through the altar. Like through the fire.
Beside the altar. Yeah. Altar adjacent. I love it.
Yeah, something like that.
That's not even funny. I'm not even holding
look,
it.
I think
I'm just over here talking stupid.
We are.
Yeah, we good.
We're
We
enjoying
good. Absolutely. Absolutely.
State.
So, I mean,
Green and gold.
I want to do this before we end this. Is that I want to challenge everybody to honestly think about their lives and to think about everyone that has impacted you, and hopefully, if someone is still alive that has helped you along the way, reach back and say thank you to them. I'm for sure there's more people than not that have done something for you that didn't do it for any accolade or any type of reward. Like, just make a telephone call if you know somebody, or if one of your old teachers or somebody, old mentors is, on Facebook, send a quick note and just say, hey, in the times that we're living in, I just want to make sure I let you know that I'm thankful for XYZ, whatever it is that they've done for you, because it's important. A lot of people don't do it for rewards, but it's good to know that you made a good impact on somebody's life. So, as you listen to this, think about that. Do that, and and if you do that, let us know that you did it. You know what I'm saying? I like to know who has made impact on your life, and who has definitely, I want to list. I would love for us to list our listeners' mentors. The people that has helped you along the way. Just kind of give some of that feedback and let people know that someone paid attention, and someone has taken notice of the personal impact that they have done. So yeah.
Especially,
And if go ahead.
I was going to say, especially when it's people who gave their most valuable resources was their time to sit you down and talk you off a ledge. Like Mr. Davis saved my life way too many times in college, and a lot of it was just literally just talking to me and just literally letting me get stuff out that had affected me my entire life, that I was able to use him as a sounding board. So once again, Mr. D, thank you.
Man.
I love you.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Davis.
Shout out.
I thought of one. Man, here recently, we just we lost a brother. He worked at the. His name is Mario Bell. He was actually Alpha as well, and he's from Ohio, I believe. But no, he was really one of those guys that. It was kind of weird. I was in a different place when I was in college. I was in a weird place when I was in college, and so, I really couldn't hear really good advice all the time, because I was just wilding. It was like I was at a weird place in life, so I was wilding most of the time when I was in college. I just got out of the military, like junk was crazy. So, but I remember he kept Mario Bell. I don't know if it says Mario Bell, but he was my neighbor, because I stayed in graduate housing, and he was admissions. He worked in admissions, and so, but no, he used to pull me to the side and just tell, just drop jewels every day. You know what I'm saying? And he would, when I was, someone wanted to pledge Alpha, and he was like, all right, here's what we gotta think about. You know what I'm saying? Have you already done this? Are you doing that? Matter of fact, our first fundraising event that I put together, he was the brainchild of it. And we did it every year, the block party. We did it every year. We raised so much money at the block party. And he used to he'd be like, no, don't say anything about me. He just dropped the gym off and back up, because I was still a student, you know what I'm saying? But he at some point he was just like, so Drace, man, you got to chill, because I was throwing parties every day, kind of like on some Dre stuff, flooding my apartment. Except I didn't flood the apartment.
I didn't flood my apartment either, but I won't bring up who did. They know who they are.
But I was getting but I was getting to that level for real, where it's getting bad, and he was just like, look, Sid. He said, man, I know what you're doing. I know where you come from. I've been where you are before. He said, but you going too far, so I'm going to go ahead and fall back. Still got love for you, but we can't be seen. Because I was wilding.
Be associated.
For real. Just imagine, Dre know what it is. When you live on campus, it's a lot of politics to that. It's not just, it's my homeboy, it's my alpha. It's a lot of politics to living on campus and just being part of the academia. And so anyway, but I just remembered him, all those conversations we had, 2:00 in the morning, just out on the back porch, just talking or whatever. So, but those are the kind of gems you find at HBCUs that is continuing to make history. You know what I'm saying? It's a lot of experiences that we had on campus that he was really just like, hey man, y'all tried this? He put my whole line to the side. And then we just had, you all can go on for days. I can go on for days just naming different gyms on campus. And some of them didn't even go there. So they graduated years ago. And they just hang out on campus. You're like, do you work here? That's at HBCU though. So, yeah, man. Y'all weren't really grown ups hanging out.
That's what's up.
Mostly kids, like student age people who didn't go to school there hanging out.
Clean it up, Seth. Clean it up.
That'd be kind of weird.
That's what's up, y'all. So we gonna close it out. Anybody got any parting words for this episode?
Thanks
Okay.
for coming out. God bless
all right.
y'all.
Yeah. One thing that I would just say is it's something that I want to get more back into, and just for other people to think about too, especially single adults like some of us. One of the most rewarding things that I've ever done was when I worked with oh God, the name I just lost the name of it. Big Brother Big Sisters. And literally getting a direct impact on youth and stuff like that. And I just say that because if there's anything that we can do to move our people and move the culture along, I think we should definitely try to find ways to actually do it with the youth, impact the youth, and make sure that they're getting the things that we didn't have, that they're avoiding all of the road bumps that we fell into. So whatever way that we can do that, I definitely encourage people to start searching there. If there's other things on your mind, great, but if you don't know where to start, anything involving the youth I think would be extremely beneficial.
That's what's up. To kind of like go adjacent to that, like we are still living in a pandemic, and a lot of people are still going without. If you can donate any type of supplies or food to any of your local organizations, please make sure you do that, because we're still in it. Like, bump what you think, people are having parties here and there. Like, this stuff is still going on, and we need to make sure we still continue to take care of our community. And it's just important to do
please
that.
Look out for your friend. Like, check in with your friends, because a lot of these programs are not your friend on a.
Anything else for the good of the order?
I'm just saying.
I think Seth's trying to say something, but he's muted.
No, I'm not.
Oh.
You were. Oh, you're not trying to say anything. Okay.
I'm just saying, like, make sure you. I was just talking to some of my friends who work in social services, and a lot of those programs are for people who, a lot of your friends may make too much for that, or whatever like that. So check on the people who you think is okay. That just check on your friends, because a lot of people are going without.
Yeah, check on your strong friends too. The ones that you think, are always happy and stuff like that, and always listening to your mess. Check on them. All right.
Yeah.
So yeah. With that being said, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for listening to another episode of the 1528 podcast. I have been Justin.
This is Dre.
This is it.
This is BJ, and by the time you hear this, I'll be 40 years old.
Hey.
That's what's up. Hey.
So Mike,
Happy birthday, old man.
Man.
That's what's up. So appreciate you listening. God bless and good night, and happy birthday, BJ. Peace. Good night.
This is fun, man. It's cool.